The word strategy is being thrown out there by people that don't always use it correctly.
Let's talk Tails. Thank you so much, Duke, for coming back on Tales with Taylor. Super excited to have you because I always love, hearing your insights on things. So first of all, how have you been?
I've been great, and thank you for having me again. I enjoyed our first conversation, so everything's good.
Excellent. And, I know for the last, what it feels like a couple of years now, AI has been the buzzword and the, interesting tool that everyone is just curious about. Tell me, how have you been implementing AI, or how has AI changed the way, your clients are thinking?
Sure. So just like every new product or innovation in any industry, there are different kinds of reactions and they change over time. So at first it was everybody was afraid of it. Then everybody wants it. And then, which is kind of where we are, everybody wants to use it for everything.
Right.
So I don't need this and I don't need that. I can have AI do it for me. And we're towards the end of, in my opinion, the end of this stage, and we're moving on to the next one. Okay, I can use it for certain things. So what happened was people thought, I don't need a copywriter if we're talking about marketing. I don't need a copywriter anymore. I'll just go to AI, ask ChatGPT or Gemini or any of them, write me a story about this. And then some hard lessons. The harshest type of lesson is the information people get back is inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not based on facts. It's because AI goes out, looks at information that's on the internet, and based on that draws certain conclusions. Garbage in, garbage out. So sometimes it happens. And we have had a number of situations working with client or working on materials that clients have created just to find out that, it's not exactly accurate. So that was a problem. The other problem that comes with it has no soul. By that I mean you can. I think most of us by now, when we read something, it was written by AI. It is a bit dry. It is a bit not human-like, but it's getting better, and I think it's getting better for two reasons. One, the tools get better, and secondly, the tool learns you. If you're using the same one over and over again, using the same credentials to log in, it learns you and learns your style and learns what you're trying to do. So it's getting better. So my conclusion as far as AI tools are concerned is that you should use them, but you should not rely solely on them. And there are different things that you can do with it in marketing, from writing copy, proofreading, or improving copy that you have written or somebody has written, creating graphics, doing research. All of these are good things. And the results are different. So when it comes to research, one of the ways I think about it, AI, let's say ChatGPT, is like a room full of interns. And why do I say interns? Because people that presumably have a lot of time on their hand to do what you ask them to do, but cannot be necessarily be held accountable to what they're giving you.
I love that analogy. That's so good.
So you open the door and you say, hey guys, can you find out what company has done this or that, or what has ever happened with a commercial for such and such company? and they all, I'm talking about years ago, would jump on the internet and start searching
Yep.
and bring information, get it together, and maybe one of them puts it all in one pile or one document and say, okay, that's what we found. Obviously, AI tools do that much faster,
Mm-hmm.
instantaneously, virtually, but they're not held accountable. You can't fire ChatGPT or fine it or do anything like this
Yeah.
because it gave you what it could find. So look at it. It saves a lot of time. We use it a lot of times for competitive analysis. What other company uses or produces this product, this product, this product? Which one of them has the most revenue
Mm-hmm.
over the past 2 years and 5 years? Um, Again, you have to take it with a grain of salt and check when you can. But otherwise, it would take hours, weeks to gather all that information. Um, Creating graphics when you don't need anything too sophisticated and too involved, you can use it. And we use it, and other marketing companies use it, and other companies use it for their marketing purposes. You can ask it to create an image for social media or other purposes, and you give it a parameters.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that over time, since ChatGPT came out, it gets better and better, and especially when it starts understanding whom you want to do it for. So it works great for that. Um, you can give it parameters, you can give it the right prompts, and prompts become extremely important. How to
Yeah.
ask the AI generative tool to create something for you. So it can be used for different purposes in marketing, and I mentioned the main ones. You just have to be careful and check it very, very closely before you make it public or start using it.
Yeah. Which AI models have been your favorite to use, at your company?
So there are three of them. One type and one is completely different. So I've been using JetGPT and I've been using Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, JetGPT was much better. Now I see on certain tasks, certain type of things, Gemini is gaining advantage, especially when it comes to graphic,
Mm-hmm.
visual creation, where ChatGPT I think is lagging a little bit behind, and they're saying they're going to come up with another version that will get better. So I'm using both of them. The other type of um, AI tools are, of course, specific tools, and there are ones specifically designed for marketing purposes. Some of them you have to subscribe to. Some of them you don't, or they have a version that's free. I don't want to mention particular names, but
Yeah.
so not to create, because I've been talking to some of them, but they are specifically designed to create. I've seen ones that do a marketing plan. I was not impressed,
Mm-hmm.
but there are ones that search and compare how certain terms are being used or utilized or the benefit they provided companies. They're better.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we all know that depending on the industry, there are AI aspects now added to just about everything that everybody does.
Yeah.
So I have a client that does engineering. They use AI tools to help them engineer faster, better, certain things. So the same goes for marketing. So companies that do email marketing or
Mm-hmm.
social media posts are incorporating AI agents within and make them available for their clients to make things more efficient, better, faster, and so on.
Definitely. And, our first episode together, episode 20, for anyone who wants to get more of a background on, Duke and what he was doing before helping people market themselves. So, this episode, I want to dive a little more into, the actual solutions that you provide to your clients. And, you talk about creating marketing strategies. For those who, have never really made a strategy and maybe just, threw it up on the wall and saw if it stick. How do you go about, what type of discovery questions are you asking your clients in order to formulate a marketing strategy for them?
It's a very good question because the word strategy is being thrown out there by people that don't always use it correctly. When you run a business, there are strategies and there are tactics. It's true for military operations and a lot of other things that you do. Strategy sits on top of the tactics. The strategy is what you're going to do to accomplish certain overall goals, where the tactics are the specific action plans that you take in order to make things happen. What happens with marketing oftentimes is there is a lot of focus on the tactics because this is what you do day to day. Examples: posting on social media, sending out blast emails, putting ads on TV, magazines, radio, online, Google ads, and so on. Doing events, giving out giveaways, promotional items. All of these are tactics. All of these tactics supposed to help you accomplish an overall goal that's part of the strategy. So going from the other way, so instead of going bottom up, we're going to go top to the bottom. So a company wants to accomplish something. That's their overall strategy. Then you have to come up with a marketing strategy that would help you accomplish the overall marketing goals, the overall company goals, the business goal, and strategy. So what we do, we focus on that. We focus on the marketing strategy. What do we need to do in order to help this company accomplish what they're trying to accomplish? And a marketing strategy is sometimes made of a number of goals and a number of things that you're going to do in order to accomplish this. Sometimes the strategy is focused on brand awareness, getting the brand to be recognized and known with a specific target market. Sometimes it focuses on introducing new products to the marketplace. Sometimes it is focused on becoming the top provider of a particular product or service. And sometimes it's a combination of all of these. So the strategy is what we're trying to accomplish and what tactics we're going to employ in order to reach these particular goals that the strategy had specified. So I mentioned some tactics before for the social media and the email marketing and the advertising and the events and whatever else. Not always all of them apply, and not always they're going to be used in the same manner. So the strategy is what we put together to say what we're trying to accomplish, how we're going to accomplish it, and what tactics, what specific marketing activities we're going to use to reach these goals, how we're going to apply it. Then the tactics come, and then you talk specifically about each and every one of these tactics, how to do them, who's going to do them, when we're going to do them, and so on. So the strategy ties together the overall thing. Now, one of the main reasons to have a strategy is because we find that many companies, when they do their marketing, and I think I mentioned it last time, we talked, I call it random acts of marketing. The person who does the social media posts and the person that is working on the website don't necessarily talk to each other or coordinate with each other what we're going to do, because what you have on your website, you want to be promoted on social media, and what you put on social media needs to be reflected on the website. These are just two examples. That's true for the events, that's true for email marketing, that's true for your advertising, it's true for every tactic that you employ in marketing. In order for all of these parts to work together and complement each other and leverage each other's efforts, that's where the strategy comes. And strategy is made of, here's the plan that we're all working towards. This is what we're going to do the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and so on, as an example. And there is somebody, it could be one person or a group of people, that is making sure that all of these things are working together. Otherwise, you're spending a lot of effort, a lot of resources, and resources is money, time, people, on trying to accomplish different things, as opposed to all of these investments that you have working towards the same strategy and same goals.
It reminds me of a phrase that I always say: it's not real unless it's written down. And, having the strategies, your goals for each quarter, that's a lot of information that you can't just keep in one person's mind. And so, what are some softwares or tools you recommend organizations use in order to organize those thoughts and put them in a central location where everyone on the team can be on the same page, from the web designers to the social media managers to the CEO?
There are many tools out there. And I think the sophistication of the tools is not as important as the fact that you want to use them. But sometimes that is where the issue is. If it takes more time to use the tool and too much effort to use the tool, people are not going to use people. We just avoid it. So yes, there are, as I mentioned before, you can go to ChatGPT and say, write me a strategy statement or a marketing plan for my company. Here's the website, and it will. So writing it is one thing, putting it together is one thing, and there are tools that will do that. But as far as I'm concerned, use a Word document or Google Docs to write it. It's not that important, in my opinion, what the tool is for putting the strategy together. The implementation of the strategy, then it becomes a little bit more important. So there are project management kind of tools, and we use one of them. It's called ClickUp.
Oh, yeah.
But there are many other ones, and many other good ones too. Depending on how complicated or sophisticated you need it to be, you can choose the one for you, and there are ones that are specifically for certain industries. So there are tools there, but the greatest advantage of using a project management tool is that everybody who's participating has access to it, and everybody can see what everybody else is doing, and you can put deadlines and due dates and marks on when to do what stage of and dependencies. You have to accomplish this before you can do that one. I think it's great to have that, as opposed to just making sure we talk to each other. We all are, to one degree or another, now working remotely. Very few companies that I work with, because I work with perhaps smaller companies, everybody goes to the same office every day. I don't think that's much of our reality nowadays. Every company, every entity that I work with, they have some people who are remote, some people who work from home, some people who work from other offices, some people that work only in the morning, and some people that, I know a guy that loves to work at night. He goes to the office, but he works at night. He starts at 11 o'clock and he works until 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, wow.
He likes that. So having a tool that help you manage
Mm-hmm.
the project, the implementation of everything helps a lot. And of course, you can put the strategy right in there as a document or as a uh, one of the bigger projects. So that would be my recommendation to put the strategy together. You can use AI tools, as I mentioned before, but it is really a creative process that needs to be put together by a number of people. So when I work with my clients, I don't talk to them, go to my office, and come back a month later and say, okay, this is the strategy, let's do it. We work on it together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leading the process as part of my responsibility. I author the strategy document. I create the different parts of the strategy from goals to objectives to um, attitude and how to do it. But it's not a side job. I often tell my clients it's not working on marketing is not like buying insurance for your business. You meet with your insurance agent, you talk about what needs to be done. They put a policy together. You like it, you don't like it, you make changes, you buy it, and you don't usually don't talk to them again for at least a year.
Yeah.
Um, Strategy does not work like that. Marketing strategy doesn't.
And so when you're working with your clients and providing the strategy as well as the tactics to get to that goal, are you advising and coaching on your clients to do those various tactics, or are you actually helping them execute those tactics as well?
There is a variety of approaches to that, and it depends on the client. So we, as my company, Fractional CMO LLC, we offer almost the gamut. So with some clients, yes, I work with them on the strategy, and then I help them manage the implementation. I don't see myself as a consultant. A consultant is someone who comes and tells you, "Oh, you need to do this, this, and that. Pay me, and I'm gone." In most cases, I know I'm exaggerating a little bit. Um, I don't see my role as such. I see my role as being responsible for the implementation as well. So, yes, we put a plan together and then I help them implement it. Now, the implementation that you're asking about can be uh, if they have a team, and I've worked with clients that have 4 or 5 people in the marketing department that are capable of doing just about everything. And I just manage that process. I help them, I guide them, I correct them, I help them measure the results, I report to the owners or the executives of the company. So that would be at a minimum. Now, just like with any other company that has even has a full marketing department, marketing is made of so many things.
Yeah.
Your business is producing videos,
Yeah.
and most companies do not have a video production team within. They may have a guy or a girl with a good sense of video and they have a video camera, but they're not necessarily producers. They're not at your level
Mm-hmm.
to create those, so they go up. So similarly, sometimes clients that I work with have 2 or 3 people that do some of the marketing things, but they don't do some of the others. Examples would be the company has a receptionist that also does the payroll,
Right.
also does social media posts. So we work with that if they think that's good enough and that's what they want to keep doing. But we utilize our own graphic designer. So we have a basic team that includes a graphic designer, a copywriter, an email person, a social media person, and a website person, and another one that does logistics, like ordering things and making sure things happen, like a project manager.
Yeah.
And so we utilize our team to plug the holes or fill the voids they don't have. And the third approach is they don't have anybody who wants or qualified to do marketing, and we use ourselves, and we use people like you.
Yeah.
We go to you and say, all right, we need to produce a video for this company. What can you do? You give us a proposal, we present it, we introduce you to the clients. We never force partners on our clients. We introduce trusted partners like you, and we say, we think this video needs to be produced by them. Here's why. Here's, and if they accept it, we go ahead and we do it. So we bring people um, from other agencies and entities. Another example would be creating websites. We create some websites. Mostly we maintain websites, but if a client needs a whole new, brand new website, especially if it's sophisticated with multiple parts, maybe e-commerce parts for it, we'll bring in another entity to help us.
Yeah, I love that you're flexible. You're like a flexible fractional CMO that, you really do plug yourself in the most beneficial way for an organization, whether it is taking on a lot of the, necessary work or, helping their current team take on and implement the actions that will then help with the strategy. So I do love that you have that flexibility, that you're not just forcing people into a package or, into a type of service that may not be the best fit for them.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I don't see ourselves, my company, Fractional CMO, I don't see ourselves as a service company per se. Our purpose is, I tell clients, to make you look and sound as good as you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And if it means that we have to do it, we do it, you do it. It's a partnership, but the goal is what's important, how to get to it. I'm open, completely open. And like I said, I work with clients that they have a website company they like, they have an ad agency they like, they have a social media agency that does that. That's fine. The problem, like I said before, in just about all the cases that we work with them, is that these entities work completely separate. People talk about silos. I don't like the word silos because it's not like they don't know each other,
Right.
but they don't really work together towards that. We bring that component to it. It's the umbrella that kind of covers everything and making sure that all the parts are moving.
Right. That all the gears are actually going to the mainframe of the business.
Yep. It's a
And,
good way to say
I'm
it.
sure it varies on, who your client is, but have you been finding on average lately, a particular social media platform maybe performing better than others for your clients to market themselves?
Yes. Social media um, is a whole world of its own, and we all know of the Facebook and the LinkedIn and the Instagram and X and TikTok, and everybody's focusing on those. And sometimes we come across companies that want to do all of these, which is sometimes it's hard. There are tools that
Yeah.
you go and you say, post this, and it will go and post it everywhere. But it's not always worth the trouble of. So we look at every client and every situation individually. What are the best places for you to be active on? Because yes, there is this effort, as I said, of posting, but beyond posting, there are also reactions, and you have to track and you have to look at what is happening on the different platforms so you can react in time. And I'll give you an example in a second. But what we're trying to do is match them with the correct platforms that would give them the best benefit. Sometimes we kind of know in advance, and sometimes we have to try and see where it is. The easiest thing to talk about is B2B, business to business versus business to consumers, B2C. Not all platforms are good for either one. So you have to know, you have to look, you have to experiment and see what results you're getting when we're talking about social media. What people don't always think about and should explore are other platforms such as Reddit, okay, as an
Yes,
example.
that one has been. I've been thinking about that one a lot more lately myself,
Yeah.
actually, and talking to some of my clients about it.
Yeah. So sometimes, it's not one of the first ones that you think about
Mm-hmm.
as pure social media, but why not? And there are other ones
Right.
like that.
Because it is
So
social media in a sense that it's a group of a community of people whom most of the time are just looking for solutions and answers. And as business owners, we want to be like, hey, we are the answer to your problem.
yes, yeah. So there are advantages, great advantages to being there. And now, especially with we talked about AI at the beginning, AI looks everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
including using this example, Reddit. So why not be there? Why
Right.
not push your agenda or make yourself known also in these places? So to answer your question, to summarize the answer to your question is, it really depends on who they are, what they do, what they are marketing, what they're selling, what they're offering. We find the right platform for them. I'm not typically not the one that says, "Oh, go everywhere, just be
Right.
everywhere," because you can't. Um, so I promise to mention what I mean by you have to watch it. There are situations where somebody goes and puts, say,
Mm-hmm.
a negative post about your product or your service. You have to respond.
Yeah.
You have to react to it. If you're watching dozens of them and you don't have the manpower or the tools to review and make sure all the posts are positive, or at least responding to the negative ones, it it could be a problem. And by the way, some of these negative or questionable posts are fake,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them we found are pure mistakes. Oh, I thought you were that company.
Oh my
No.
goodness, I've seen that a lot. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's not us. That's a different one. Similar name, perhaps, or
Yep.
or a synonym of the name, but um,
Or if it
so
was a
you have to
location
be.
that was the same on Google Maps and they just looked up the location, but the business changed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes the post is legitimate, but you fail to respond or fail to respond on time. I
Mm-hmm.
can give you an example. This from quite a few years ago. Um, I was sitting on a panel, and somebody who was doing the PR for one of the big cruise lines. And I can't remember if it was Carnival or somebody else, but it was somebody at that level. And there was a whole thing with a bird flu, and everybody panicked, and they stopped cruises to Mexico and the Caribbeans. And people started posting questions. Oh, what happens? What happens with my deposit? I already made a
Mm-hmm.
deposit, or I already made a full payment. Am I going to get it back? Can I reschedule? Can I just cancel? I don't have time later in the year to do that. One of the cruise lines responded immediately, and their response was, "We don't know yet, but we will get to each and every one of our passengers and let you know the status." The other one still didn't know because it was so new,
Mm-hmm.
but did not respond.
Hmm.
And people make, I'll use a clean word, people make stuff up when you don't, in the absence of information.
Mm-hmm.
So on there, the ones that did not respond yet, and we're talking about like 48 hours, the one that did not respond on their Facebook page, people saying, "Oh, they're not going to give you your money back. They're trying to avoid answering this question," and a lot of negative stuff just because they have not responded
Yeah.
quickly. So my point was, if you're on social media, you better watch it,
Mm-hmm.
you better see it, you better respond quickly to the positive and the negative.
Yeah.
Just yesterday, One of our clients had a very, very positive post related to them on LinkedIn. We didn't do it. They didn't. The client didn't do it. It's one of their clients was very proud of the product they bought from them,
Oh, lovely.
and they posted a picture. And the person who's using it's a medical device. So the hospital that uses that medical device, the person that the actual person who uses it thanked their boss saying, "Great, we just got this. Look at this. We love it. It's great. It's working great." And the boss, who is the direct client of my client, responded to it, but we noticed it. It could have gone unnoticed. So as a result of that, we shared it. We posted on their on our client's company page on LinkedIn, and we asked them if it would be okay to create a client success story, kind of a testimonial, longer testimonial, kind of between a testimonial and a case study, and they said yes. So it's an opportunity. So the good opportunities, bad opportunities, are threats, and you need to be aware of what's going on social media.
Yeah, and you need to be timely, because if you would have asked that question 2 months from now, they might be busy. They may not have that same excitement. They may not be as eager and willing to, share any additional information or anything. So it's all about, what my mom loves to say, like, strike while the iron's hot. Like, you got to make sure on social media that you are on top of it and staying timely. And like you said, for the positive and the negative. And, for those that kind of freak out sometimes about social media, that they don't want to see the negative comments, like I always say, a negative comment's still an engagement. And so the eyes of the algorithm, it's still someone reacting. And so, don't be afraid of those reactions. Just make sure you're commenting, in a constructive way, especially if it's a way that's going to, defend yourself. And so we've talked about AI, we've talked about social media, all these digital things. We're really in a high-tech digital world, but is there still a space for maybe low to no tech marketing tactics and strategies?
Absolutely. For two reasons. One, it's effective. Secondly, it's not being bombarded. It's not crowded. So everybody sends out emails. The reason for the emails is clear. It's inexpensive. It's immediate. It's you can include videos, you can include audio, you can include beautiful pictures and such, which is great. But in some cases, other low-tech things can still work. For example, door hangers. Okay, we used to get them all the time. We all hate them and so on, but they do work. So we've worked with clients that go and do, say, an installation or delivery of a product to a home. We made it part of the process to put door hangers, 5 doors to the right and 5 doors to the left. They did get business as a result of that. I know of a company that I think they're an AC company, and every time they go to work at a house, on their truck, they have a big sign that says, "Sorry for the mess. We know we're taking some parking spots right now, but we're helping your neighbor to get better AC. If you need us to look at it, call us. Here's the number.
That's
Here's our
great. It's a
website."
great sign.
QR code. Yeah. Simple.
Yeah.
Very low tech, but still works.
But very
So
effective. You're letting I kind of hate it when I get a phone call and they're, "Oh, we're going to be in the area working on one of your
nobody believes
neighbor's
it.
places." I'm like, sure you are. But if my neighbor was legitimately getting work done and I saw that big sign, I would, intrigue me to go to my neighbor and ask, how were they? Try to get some information and a potential referral if they thought that they were good.
Yeah, so things like this. Another company that does semi-digital, but really not digital. Oh, you can make it completely non-digital, and we've all seen it, especially the males among us. When you go to the bathroom in a restaurant or a bar, there are signs
Yeah.
that promote. So there are companies locally as well that do these signs, very inexpensive. Some of them are just, printed, but mostly they're moving towards the digital ones, but it's very simple. It's just a slideshow.
Mhm.
So they have it in gyms, golf courses, restaurants I mentioned, bars I
Mhm.
mentioned, um, arcades. They have them in different places. It's very inexpensive and relatively low tech. So why not? So yes, there is room for that. Again, just like with everything else in marketing, you have to consider, is my audience going to see it? If that's, is that where they go to get information, or will that be influenced by that? Does it fit my company's personality and goals? And you do something like that. So yeah.
Excellent. Now, I know you already shared one success story with us with really having your pulse on social media and, leveraging the great, natural feedback you were already hearing. Do you have any other recent success stories you'd be willing to share?
Um, yes, and I want to share and kind of close the loop back to the first question, this first topic we talked about regarding AI. You said, I think the words you said, AI is a buzzword. Is everybody is talking about this, and it is. But AI is not necessarily new.
True.
What it does and how it does things. It's just a little bit more common, a little bit more available,
Hmm.
and for whatever reasons, people started using this term. So one of our clients that engineers and produces some automated systems, we have not been using the term AI at all. And at one point, I asked them, "Do you think that we fit, what you do fits the description of what AI is?" And we looked it up.
Artificial intelligence.
What is AI and what is not AI and what makes something AI? And they checked all the boxes, literally all the boxes. So we started incorporating in our descriptions, in our value proposition, in our ads, the statement that says AI based
Mm.
product, and it got people's attention because, like you said, it's a hot term, it's a buzzword, and they're truly are utilizing AI in the design, manufacturing of their product. In fact, in the operation of the product, as I mentioned, it's an automated product, and they included a learning module within the product. So the product does repetitive actions and it learns what's the best way to get to where it needs to get, and alerts them when things are outside of that, of the parameters. Definitely AI,
Yeah.
but never thought of utilizing it or leveraging it. So we're doing that, and we're seeing, we're getting more eyes on it now.
That's excellent. So yeah, just again, you and your team having a pulse on what is happening out there while business owners are able to kind of stay in the weeds of their work and what needs to be done. And you can help just stay on the bigger picture and the bigger goal. This has been another jam-packed filled interview and episode, just sharing so much information. We're going to make sure that on the show notes, we have links back to your content, links to connect with you, and links to your social media accounts. So as we come to a close, what would be that one piece of advice you would give our audience today? What would be one action item you'd tell them to do in order to either get more focused on their marketing strategy or actually implement it?
I don't want it to sound selfish, but going to to the point that you just made before, that we keep our pulse, our eyes on the pulse of the market and what's going on there. If you own a business, focus on what you do best, and what you do best is manufacturing or engineering or servicing or selling. Bring in a professional, whether it's us or somebody else, to at least give you the opportunity to look at your marketing from an outside perspective. We do that with every potential client before they even become a client. We really do a deep dive into what's your marketing looking like and where are the gaps. So my recommendation to business owners, bring an outsider, reputable, qualified outsider to look and give you their opinion. You may decide to have them help you or may decide to do it on your own. Either way, get an outside perspective. Let somebody who knows marketing help you do what you do best, which is probably not marketing.
That's excellent. And, you can only go so far by yourself. You can get much, much further with a team. And so I know people who partner with you, they definitely get much further. And you are, that true partner. You're a fractional, CMO in there, in the offices with people, really on their platforms. And, like I said, keeping a pulse on the reality of things that are happening. And so thank you again for coming on virtually for your second episode on Tales with Taylor. Tons of great information. And I highly encourage, if you're feeling stuck, if you've plateaued, if you're not sure how to break through to the next level, contact Duke and his team. He's going to take a look at what you've been doing and how you can get to where you really want to go. So thanks again, Duke.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Tales with Taylor. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Financial Potion YouTube channel to never miss an episode.